copies of the great. We are the small that make the great great. Then we have to serve the great because we are part of the great. Without the small, how could the great be great? So, we are small parts of God, and our business is then to cooperate with the whole, with the summum bonum, with the complete whole, with the absolute truth. You cooperate with the absolute truth, you become in harmony with the absolute truth, and you become like the absolute truth. That means Satchidananda. Does anybody know what that means? Satchidananda. That's the quality of the spirit. Anybody give a try?
Who is always happy?
Yeah. Sat, eternal consciousness and happiness. Eternal knowledge and bliss. Like that. So this is the nature of the soul. It's eternal, it's never suffering, it's always conscious, always happy. Satchidananda. That is the nature of the spirit. So when the little soul, the microscopic soul, who is now engaged in these bodies, some of us are Danish bodies, others are Indian bodies, maybe Polish bodies, this and that bodies. But that doesn't matter. We all have human bodies with intelligence enough to understand that we all have intelligence to at least philosophically understand we are different from the body. And when we take part in these activities as given by the pure devotee, this is how you realize God. You chant about Him, you hear about Him, you chant the mantra, you do service, seva, you learn the knowledge, you repeat the knowledge. Then we also become Satchidananda. Satchidananda. We become eternal, full of bliss and knowledge. Full of bliss and pure consciousness. Satchidananda. So then we get this taste. There's some enjoyment here. This is interesting. There's some feeling of happiness inside. Then by that conviction, we may contact for further development devotees to ask, what can I do to increase my Krishna consciousness? And then we may be engaged in some service, or we can also read the books. That's also service in itself. Just read the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. In some way engaged in some service and some seva and some active thing for Krishna. Then that service itself brings an enjoyment to the soul. And then there are 9 different stages, various stages you go through, from service to destroying of bad things, to taste, attachment, feeling, and at last you get the love of Godhead, which becomes established in your heart. You fall in love with Krishna, and you cannot live for a moment without Krishna. We know how it is to be in love. You cannot stop thinking about the person for 1 second. So that is Krishna consciousness. The pure devotees, they are in love with Krishna. But to be in love with Krishna has nothing to do with lust. As you know, in the mature world, many times, it's contaminated by some lust, some selfish desire. It's always like that. But the love we have to God is completely free from that lust. It's pure love. So the purer the love for God is, the more we are able to cast aside our own interest and just surrender ourselves to the love, to love Krishna in service. Then we become completely happy. So for the material mind, there's a contradiction there. Because usually, the more you serve, the more you become a servant to the material world, the more you surrender to somebody, the less you're free, the less freedom you have. But to surrender to Krishna, to surrender to the instructions of the Lord, and to surrender yourself completely to the Lord, 100%, means complete freedom. That is the contradiction. By engaging in devotional service, you actually become free. As we said some long time ago in a lecture, devotional service can be developed in 3 days, if one is sincere. In 3 days you can do it. If you do it properly, you can become pure devotee. It may not happen to us, but it's possible. First you get transcendental knowledge, then you get mystic powers, and then you get devotional service, stated in the beginning of the Bhagavad. It happens like that. So that means that devotional service includes all other yogic processes. It includes jnana and yoga, because devotional service in itself is full of knowledge about the absolute truth. And by hooking up to the Supreme Lord, all mystic powers develop. Like the yogis, as the siddhi is there. The devotee has all mystic powers. He may not show it, but the pure devotees have them. And on top of that, the devotee is not only a yogi, not only a jnani, he is actually a lover of Krishna, which is an extra thing, an extra spice, the sweetness of life, the personal touch, your relationship with Krishna, which guarantees you to stay on the spiritual platform. Because Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is always pure, always in the spiritual transcendental position. And if you hook up yourself with Krishna and get His blessing and His protection, you will never again fall down to the material platform. If you try to endeavor with Gyan or Yog, you are on your own and you have to endeavor all the time. But you can fall. But if you say, Krishna, please protect me, I will always be yours, always serve you, then Krishna will protect you. You would not even have to worry about falling down. You just have to worry about loving Krishna. Oh, it's getting very late. 1 or 2 questions before we have the kirtan? No questions? I think there will be possibly a question and answer session at 6 o'clock later on. But no questions for now? Okay. Then we stop here, and as I said, there are books to be bought. Before one enters into any philosophical institution, it is necessary to study the literature to understand what they're doing. So we recommend everybody to read the Bhagavad Gita, and the Srimad Bhagavatam especially. So in that way, you can all learn about spiritual life and become liberated and Krishna conscious. So now in a little minute, I think there will be a kirtan. We can all sing and dance a little bit to get in good shape to eat later on. The prasad, which is another type of spiritual activity. Prasad means mercy. It's food which has been in the altar and become purified, so it's free from karma. All food that we eat is full of karma. It doesn't matter whether it's meat or grains, it's all full of bad karma. So you have to purify that as a human being, getting rid of the karma by offering it to the Lord, and then when you eat it, even that, it makes you blissful. So if philosophy is too difficult, eating is not. Everybody can eat. So those who don't want to hear the Bhagavatam or the Bhagavad Gita, they can eat prasad. And that's also a spiritual activity. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.